Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to the correct views. Christelle is still fixing up the high def. How do you know if you're on high def? If the video camera is moving, you're on high def. If it's not, then you're not. Friends, I do it this way because the live goes live on my channel as soon as I feel like posting it. And the HDEF goes up whenever YouTube feels like it wants to be slow enough to post it. Friends, this is... That's great. Hey, guys. All right. I don't know why she did it in that order, but it works for me. No, kill that cell phone, please. Thank you. No kumbaya here. U.S. is now 101st most peaceful nation on earth. Friends, do you realize that... do me a favor, zoom just a bit, Costello. Do you realize... Turn it to you. Do you realize that the rate of peacefulness, that'll work, in the U.S. has now fallen to 101st most powerful peaceful nation on earth. In other words, the U.S. is viewed as one of the least peaceful nations on earth. That's another way to put it. The planet is not a peaceful place. I would agree with that. And the U.S. no longer ranks in the top 100 most peaceful nations. It stands at number 101 according to the annual Global Peace Index, which is a complex analysis that quantifies the relative peacefulness in 162 nations. Released Wednesday, the 8th annual assessment is driven and it measures such things as internal crime statistics, political forces, refugee activity, population trends, and other factors, including terrorism, the number of homicides, and economic conditions. Let's go over that list. This is why you tune into the correct views, because you want to listen to somebody that cuts through all the BS. All right, fine. It lists crime statistics. The United States typically jails non-violent pot smokers in the same prisons that it jails many, not all, of the most violent people in society. Political forces. We are a country driven by the neoconservative mindset. But Obama's not a neocon. It doesn't really matter. Hello, HD people. It doesn't really matter. The political forces in this country lend itself towards the neoconservative mindset. Refugee activities, see, now that's a gray area because we are being inundated with illegals. But whether or not you're in favor of it or not in favor of it, I am not in favor of it, it counts. They include it, it counts, I gave it to you. Population trends and other factors, including terrorism. A lot of the terrorism that we get, and search Ron Paul blowback, is stuff that we have that is coming our way based on really bad decisions that we've made first. Are we the Hate America crowd here on the correct views? Obviously not. Anyone that's ever listened to the correct views already knows that we are not at all here part of the Hate America crowd. The most peaceful spot, where is it? It asks. Iceland, followed by Denmark and Austria. The three last peaceful countries are the South Sudan war zone, Afghanistan war zone, and Syria war zone, all at the bottom of the list. So basically, let's face it, America is over halfway up the most violent chart. That's not good news, Fred. Michael Snyder, The Economic Collapse, dated June the 18th, 2014, the death of the Rust Belt. You want to be even more convinced, go ahead and go to the site that I just gave you, and you'll see the graphics that accommodate it. Their names are familiar to all of us. Cleveland, the dying community that I was brought up in. I'm in Canton, Ohio, but my whole adult life has been spent dealing with Cleveland, or I should say what's left of Cleveland. Flint, Youngstown, Saginaw, Gary, Toledo, Reading, Akron, Flint, and Buffalo were all once booming manufacturers, cities that were absolutely packed with thriving middle-class families. But now it says most of the manufacturing jobs and manufacturing are gone, and all of those cities are just shadows of their former selves. When you drive through many of these communities, it says, you will notice that a lot of people have a very hollow look in their eyes. Oh, you mean the hollow look in your eyes when you learn to be the absolute best at your instrument, and there's nobody that has the money to pay you to play for the amount of people you bring, which is a lot. Am I speaking from personal experience? Yes. Are you talking about the hollow look that takes its toll in the eyes of people that have never seen anything that looks like an opportunity? I had the conversation with a 25-year-old, which somehow manages to think that they are so drastically different from those of us that are 41. But those of us, lovely. Those of us that are 41 can more than tell you that we've never seen anything that resembles an opportunity either. That's because there wasn't any. Decades of slow, steady economic decline, that is going down for you Lady Gaga fans, have really taken a toll, and even the architecture of the cities looks depressed, I agree. But despite all of the decay, there is still evidence that there was once something truly wonderful about these communities, and there was. I mean, as somebody that grew up in Ohio there and have spent 41 years here, when we grew up, all the opportunity that was supposed to be here was in the process of dying. And let's face it, nothing except Devo in the early 80s have come out of Ohio that has meant anything. You want to know why I'm speaking real? I can speak real. I went to school with Brian Warner, a.k.a. Marilyn Manson. When did he make it? Out of Florida when he left. Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor. I was playing the same clubs that he was at. When did he make it? When he left Ohio. Basically, the only way to make it in Ohio is if you leave Ohio. And I'm not really somebody in my life that has many regrets, but I wish that I would have learned that sooner. Reading, Pennsylvania. This is from CNBC. In August of 2008, whatever, Lady Gaga fans, 208. All right, 2008. Factory workers David and Barbara Ludwig treated themselves to new cars. David a Dodge pickup, Barbara a sporty Mazda 3. With David making 22 an hour and Barbara 19, they could easily afford the payments. It goes on that a month later, Baldwin Hardware, a unit of Stanley Black & Decker, announced layoffs at the Reading plant where they both worked. David was unemployed for 20 months before finding a janitor job that paid 10 an hour, less than his previous job. That is a lot of money. That's $80 every 8 hours. Barbara hung on, but she too lost her shipping dock job of 26 years as Black & Decker shifted production to Mexico. So basically they have the cars and nothing else. And the article goes on, but let me tell you something. You can read the article. It's at prisonplanet.com, The Death of the Rust Belt. But I'm not here to read you the article. I'm here to tell you that I did read the article and that it's absolutely correct. I've seen it, friends. You've got bands like Passing Time, Ugly Distance, a plethora of bands, even the Giggities. While I might not be such a big fan myself, they have a large crowd. Why do these bands not take off? Because there's only like 50 people. Let's be real. There's only like 50 of them. The people that sign bands are the people that are in charge of basically making sure America declines. You've got Warner Brothers, you've got Paramount, you've got a lot. But did you ever wonder why the 12-year-old brat down the street raps better than Schoolboy Q? And yet everyone you know listens to Schoolboy Q. Let's face it, I'm a DJ. I know he sucks. Somehow most people don't. How is that? Just follow me for a second. If you're a record label and you signed Judas Priest, if God forbid, and it didn't happen, that's why I'm using it as an analogy, Rob Halford of Judas Priest, let's pretend that he dies in gang violence because he was a G, yo. He wasn't. You get the analogy. He dies. You can't really replace Rob Halford. He's got like an 8-octave range. Even in his older life, he's still looking at a 4 to 7-octave range. I mean, the man can really belt it out. You can't replace him. No. But if you sign garbage, like Nicki Minaj, am I saying Nicki Minaj is garbage? Yeah. If you sign garbage, then you can replace garbage with anything. Well, that's what they've done. That's why you don't see the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and Judas Priest and to a lesser degree, let's go Judas Priest got, even though Children of Bodom has been around as long now as Judas Priest was when they exploded. Why is that? Because the powers that be are not interested in making you a more musical, appreciative person. They are interested and I think that's what we're seeing. And let's face it, if you can't see that, then I have absolutely no idea what I could say that would possibly make it more clear for you. I heard a ding. Did somebody join me? No, it's just Google being awful. All right, guys, myfoxpa.com. Cell phone exposure may harm male fertility. I'm not surprised by this at all. My wife and I was married prior to being with Christelle, who I'm with usually now. I didn't use protection for the last 3 or 4 years that we were together. I also could not afford a cell phone until the last couple of years. But I think that this is interesting when you look at the number of people that are experiencing the need to spend a lot of money for couples to become pregnant. Or I've been on the radiation thing forever. Let's be real, friends. There's nobody that has been out there predicting this more than me within my lifespan, and we're seeing it now. Cell phone exposure may harm male fertility, dated June 9th, 2014, Health Day News. Team analyzed the findings of 10 studies that examined how cell phone exposure may affect male fertility. Among men with no exposure to cell phones, 50% to 85% of their sperm had normal ability to move towards the egg. That fell to an average of only 8% among men exposed to cell phones. Similar effects were seen for sperm virility, which refers to the production of sperm where they are alive. Guys, basically look at it this way. Do not keep your cell phone in your pocket. Do not, under any circumstances, keep it near your head when you are sleeping at night. I'm just saying, the more that you do these things, the more that you are experiencing radiation exposure. And as Chris Busby, Lauren Mouet, Kevin Blanche, a lot of people have warned about this prior, friends. And I think the time to worry about it now. Friends, you are listening to the correct views. Sam, I'm beating Angie. I'm reporting for the Media Speaks. I'm also asking you to check out Mike McLaughlin because he writes amazing short stories. And you can find him at facebook.com. I'm asking you to go to Amazon or Kindle.com and look up the works called The Risen, a persuasive essay on the historicity of the resurrection of Christ. I'm asking you to look up a really weird, creepy horror story called The Lucky Leprechaun. I'm asking you to look up the very dark and spooky novel that is rooted in truth called Asleep Unknowing. Guys, I've written an amazing horror story, and I'm selling it. And it's rooted in libertarian truth. And you can find it at Amazon.com. It's called The Sleep. Well, David Lake, Kyle Court, all of us have been on it. Here's some rather recent news regarding it. Just yesterday, it says, I wrote what I think was one of the most important articles of 2014, so you should look it up. It is titled America's Disastrous Foreign Policy - My Thoughts on Iraq. The key point of the entire article came at the end when I noted, as quote, so in the course of less than a year, the Obama administration has proposed an alliance with al-Qaeda in Syria and now an alliance with Iran to fight those same forces. If you didn't get a chance to read that piece yesterday, it's important to do so before reading further, and you can go on to it. But I'm going to give you the points that he highlighted in this article. You can look it up if you doubt me, but I wouldn't advise it. A quote, the source told WND that at least one of the training camps of the group Iraq of Islamic State of Iraq and of the Syria, what a weird wording, the ISIS is in the vicinity of Incirlik Air Force Base Adana, Turkey, where American personnel and equipment are located. The source said that after training in Turkey, thousands of ISIS fighters went to Iraq by way of Syria to join the effort to establish an Islamic caliphate subject to strict Islamic law, or Sharia. I've already talked about repeatedly that I honestly believe that one of the reasons that Islam is hated is due to certain numbers of Islamists adhering to Sharia law, and I stand by that. WND reports Jerusalem, members of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIS, were trained in 2012 by U.S. instructors working at a secret base in Jordan, according to informed Jordanian officials. The officials said dozens of ISIS members were trained at the time as part of covert aid to the insurgents targeting the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in Syria. But Sam, your show has always said you hated him. Yes, I do hate Assad because I think he's a piece of human filth. Point is that you are not allowed, according to the Geneva Conventions, to simply slaughter somebody because they are, in fact, human filth. The trouble is our country has trained the people that are now killing us when we go over there to fight the people that our own country has trained. Does that mean that suddenly the Sam has become pro-Islam? No. What I'm saying is, while I have a rather sour taste in my mouth for all things Islam, I support people's right to practice whatever they want. But Sharia, of course, the people in any given community should stand up and destroy Sharia law. But that's not America's job to do. And I am agreeing with the Libertarian Nonviolence Front on that fact as well. PJ Dub, Paul Joseph Watson, and Alex Jones, dated June 17th, 2014, establishment church groups aiding illegal immigrant invasion of U.S. I reported on this earlier, but I do a lot of my shows through Google, and as we all know, Google absolutely sucks, so they truncated this, and I'm going to report it now whether they like it or not, because I don't care what other people like. I do exactly what I feel like doing, when I feel like doing it, for as long as I feel like doing it in the way that I feel like doing it. Quote, the revelation that Southern Texas church groups are transporting countless illegals into the United States before letting them go, or quote, wherever they want to go, illustrates how establishment religious organizations are working to exacerbate the immigrant invasion of America. I am a Christian, and I am against people getting into this country illegally. You bet your ass that I am. Have I always been in favor of making it easier and cheaper to enter the country? Yes. Do I think that illegal immigrants in the country now should be sent home without question? Yes, I do. They broke the law. That is what their country would do to us, unless, of course, they imprisoned us and tortured us, which is what they also do to gringos that go in illegally. If we cannot go into their country at will, they should not be allowed to come into our country at will, and I stand by it whether it pisses you off or not, because I'm right. As InfoWars exclusively reported yesterday, and there is a link, nonprofit groups and churches, and I am a Christian and I support the church, however they are wrong here and I am right, are chauffeuring illegal immigrants from a bus station to McAllen, Texas, before giving them temporary shelter and later releasing them onto the streets. So what we're looking at is illegal immigration being condoned by the Christian churches of this country, which, while I am a Christian, I will openly admit they are stabbing us in the back. Kit Daniels' Prison Planet anti-gun networks downplay armed citizen who confronted Texas shooters. And I had to get to this dated June 10th. The mainstream media, which has spent the last day falsely blaming libertarians, the Second Amendment, and even Alex Jones for the Las Vegas shooting, was slow to report on the third victim and hero of the tragedy, Joseph Robert Wilcox, the concealed handgun license holder who lost his life while confronting the shooters. Basically, the reason more people didn't die, and I've written on this on themediaspeaks.com, which I'd like you to go to and look me up. The reason that the Las Vegas shooters didn't kill more people is because a person with a concealed carry shot at the male shooter, trying to stop him from what he was doing. That tied him up and made him less available to kill more innocents, while dealing with the woman who unfortunately shot him in the back. But needless to say, a concealed carry person has in fact managed to once again stop a lot of killing and get no credit for it. So would the Las Vegas shooting have been worse without a concealed carry person? Yes, it would have. Last thing I want to get to, my dumdy of the day, BazakPam.com, do the Bazak review, Joe Saunders. Last thing I'm getting to, cops with no warrant ransack and damage businessman's truck in concert parking lot. Leave a note. Friends, you're not going to find anybody that dislikes hip-hop more than me. Why? Because I know what good music is, and if you listen to hip-hop, it's not good music. Why? Because I'm right. However, I'm going to stand up with the hip-hop person in this one. It says, dated June 9th, 2014. A Florida man might have thought that he needed the cops after leaving a concert to find his work truck had been broken into and the insides ransacked. Then he saw the note from the Tampa Police Department cops who had done the deed. Sir, your car has been checked by TPDK/9. The vehicle was searched for marijuana due to a strong odor of marijuana coming out of the passenger side of the vehicle. So basically, they went to see Juicy J. Friends, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Mozart, I am a 6.5, and Juicy J is a 1. They went to see Juicy J. And when they went to see Juicy J, yo, because we like to be pimping and we like to fuck hoes, yo. I can't put that on the open. Because they're like that, the cops felt that none of us would care if they searched their car, destroyed their car, and left a note. Let me tell you what, Matthew Heller, I'm on your side. You like the worst garbage hip-hop that I've ever heard. The music you listen to is destroying our country, and you're an idiot for liking that. However, I am on your side. The cops need to stay the hell out of your car! Why? Because it's the correct views, and I know what the correct view is. You're listening to Sam IB of the Correct Views. Go to themediaspeaks.com. Look up the work of Kyle Court, D-Like, and myself. We are posting videos like this one all the time. And friends, it doesn't matter if we agree. It doesn't matter if we like the same art or the same this or the same that. The point is, the person that you don't like is getting hosed in the exact same way that you and I are getting hosed. And I am sticking up for the Juicy J fan, just like I'd stick up for the really cool Assemblage 23 fan. Good night, friends. God bless.